We move through existence wearing masks of conviction and pain, standing on a stage we mistake for the whole of reality. The critic's harsh gaze, the martyr's weighty virtues, the hero's armored breastplate, each mask clings to our faces, convinced its script defines our worth. Under the footlights of daily life, we recite lines of fear and hope, erect towering sets of achievement and loss. And yet all the while, the gods linger behind the wings, tickled by our earnest performance. Their laughter mingles with dust motes in the air, reminding us that tragedy and comedy are merely two faces of the same divine play. Imagine an actor so absorbed in his character, he forgets the waiting dressing room. He embodies his role with trembling reverence, weeps at every scripted sorrow as though it were the only reality, and wields the sword of his anxieties as though it grounded him in truth. The audience sits in stillness, forgetting that before the spotlight, he is free to lay down the blade, to cast aside the mask, to watch the spectacle unfold without burden. How often do we forget that we too are both actor and stage, audience and play, caught in a performance choreographed by the playful hand of existence? Seriousness skews the very architecture of the theater. It dims the colors, stiffens the actors, and transforms the lightest breeze of chance into a gale of dread. We clutch our roles as though they were lifeboats, fearing that without them we would drown in meaninglessness. Yet true freedom arises the moment we loosen our grip on the script. The stage floor seems to widen, the boards creak with possibility, and the wings themselves become portals into unknown realms of invention and grace. To unlearn seriousness is to feel the boards give under our feet and discover the spring beneath, ready to lift us into a spontaneous dance. What if the cosmos itself is a carnival, and our solemnity a misstep on the merry-go-round? In the heart of the ride, gods disguised as children exchange glances of mischief. They balance on bubbles of consciousness, juggle stars for amusement, and hail our quests for purpose with affectionate bemusement. Each heartbeat is a drum in the festivity, each breath a ring of the carnival bell. Yet we pace the boards with cautious steps, hooded by gravity, convinced every slip will shatter our universe. Unveiling this illusion calls for a leap of faith, an acknowledgement that the only real constraint is the one we impose on ourselves. We begin by noticing the smallest fissures in our solemn demeanor. The laugh that bursts free when a friend stumbles, the sticky sweetness of delight at a child's giggle, the soft awe that blooms before a dew-kissed leaf at dawn. These tiny rebellions against gravity are like cracks in a dam, through which the first rivulets of play trickle. Cultivating their vitality, we allow joy to seep into forgotten corners of our performance, softening the rigid lines of fate and illuminating the stage with the original lightness of being. In every instant, we stand at the knife edge between surrender and domination. When we strive to dominate existence, we turn the sacred play into a grim ordeal. We spin the wheel of events with clenched fists, bruising the fragile petals of possibility. Yet when we surrender to the flow, opening our palms to the winds of chance, we become co-authors of the unfolding scene. The world responds with the choreography of serendipity, as if waiting for our permission to reveal its hidden dances. In this dance, mistakes morph into riffs, missteps become unexpected entrances, and the laughter of the gods rings through the rafters. Finally, a paradox emerges at the heart of our cosmic theater. The stage and the spectator, the mask and the wearer, the pain and the delight are inseparable facets of a single masterpiece. Separation itself is the most elaborate of props. When we pull aside the veil, we see that stone and river, summit and valley are sculpted from the same hand, crafted not for solemnity, but for the sheer joy of creation. The real voyage is not an escape from the drama, but a plunge into its joyous heart, arms outstretched in acceptance, feet ready to dance. What if our greatest discovery is not a hidden exit from the stage, but the realization that we need not take our role so gravely? What if life lies in bowing to the audience of life,
smiling at the absurdity of our seriousness and stepping into the next scene with a heart light as laughter. And so with that question echoing between heartbeats, the curtain trembles on the horizon of what might be.
The curtain trembles on the horizon of what might be, as if the very boards beneath our feet recall the laughter we once lost. We have spent so long inhabiting heavy roles, victim, conqueror, mourner, that the wood grain of the stage feels as solid as stone. Yet beneath every footfall lies a hidden spring, eager to propel us into a lighter rhythm. In that moment between heartbeat and breath, the serious actor glimpses the spacious gap where play has always lived. We look out at the assembled scenes, endless dramas of desire and fear, but what if these were no more than rehearsals for a dance whose steps we have forgotten? Every frustration and triumph unfolds like a pattern in an intricate tapestry, a choreography of forces both fierce and tender. The strings that bind our tragedies are woven with the same strands that shape our joys. Release the tight grip on each finale, and the tapestry relaxes, revealing the constant flow of a dance without beginning or end. Imagine the stage suddenly emptied of props and painted backdrops. The silence feels absolute until a single beam of light cuts through, revealing dust motes swirling like fireflies. In that hush, we sense the pulse of a different story, one written not in lines of tragedy or triumph, but in the gentle magnetism of discovery. Every particle of dust becomes a partner in an invisible waltz, every mote a spark of cosmic curiosity. We begin to see that the world's weight is only as heavy as our belief in its seriousness. Our masks, once so essential, hang by the wings, waiting, without urgency. Beneath them, faces breathe with the softness of unguarded wonder. We learn that the grandest performances arise from moments of surrendered effort, when form yields to formlessness, and the actor merges with the echo of applause from an invisible crowd. The secret is not to perfect each gesture, but to trust the continuity of the play itself, to allow each pause and stumble to become part of the unfolding miracle. The game of existence shifts when we realize we are simultaneously the playwright, the actor, and the audience. We write our lines in the margins of each moment, speak them with conviction, and then watch in awe as the next scene is composed from thin air. There is no separation between creator and creation, no distance between the spark of intent and the fire it ignites. Even our mistakes become improvised verses in a poem that the universe recites with infinite variations. What anchors us amid this dance is not the solidity of any role, but the lightness of participation. When we step onto the stage with open palms, we feel the breeze of possibility stirring the curtains. Fear loses its power to pin us to a single script, and loss becomes simply another cue for transformation. The very boards beneath us seem to hum with expectancy, as though the stage itself awaits our next spontaneous gesture. In the hush that follows the tremor of awakening, we sense an invitation to weave together spirit and form. The cosmic laughter that once felt remote now resonates within our bones. We understand that the gravity which pulled us into seriousness was merely gravity of our own making, a reluctance to fly. But flight was never beyond reach,
only beyond belief. And so the paradox unfolds. To master the dance is not to control its steps, but to surrender to its ever-changing rhythm. To win the game is not to vanquish sorrow or seize joy, but to learn the art of turning each breath into a joyful step, each heartbeat into an inspired gesture. The joy of play invites us to remember that every tragedy contains its own comic relief, every ending its own prologue. Now, as the stage glows with possibility and the echoes of ancient laughter linger in the wings, one final question remains. Will you bow to the heavy script you have carried, or will you rise into the next scene barefoot and unbound, ready to dance with the unexpected?
Will you bow to the heavy script you have carried, or will you rise into the next scene barefoot and unbound, ready to dance with the unexpected? In the moment when the footlights dim on fear and self-importance, you feel the boards beneath your soles pulse with possibility. The masks you have worn fall away as petals in a breeze, and what remains is the unguarded rhythm of being itself. Stepping forward, you discover that the stage has dissolved into a vast arena of light and shadow, where every heartbeat is a drumbeat of creation. No longer confined by roles of victim or victor, you become both dancer and dance, fluid expressions of the cosmic play. Your body knows the steps before your mind can name them, swaying in time with the melody that hums beneath all words. This is the secret music of existence, ancient and ever new, calling you into a whirling embrace. Every gesture now carries the weightlessness of wind. You spin with the laughter of galaxies, arms outstretched to catch shooting stars of insight. In each turn, you sense the gravity of love, an unseen tether that loops you back into unity the moment you stray. There is no error here, no faltering line, only the undulating flow of improvisation. Even the pauses between movements become sacred intervals, where the hush itself dances, inviting you to inhabit stillness and motion as one. As the dance deepens, your gaze expands beyond the rim of the stage. You see other dancers, friends, strangers, shadows of yourself, each moving their own pattern in the same web of light. Their steps echo your own, each shuffle and leap resonating with the shared heartbeat. In that resonance, you feel the tender truth that no solo can stand alone. Every solo is an echo chamber for the chorus of being. Separation is but an illusion born of too serious a script. Under the canopy of infinity, you discover a new posture, the open heart. There is no clenching against loss, no tightening around desire. You hold each moment as though it were a fragile flame, neither clutching it too tightly nor letting it vanish. The flame flickers, casting dancing shadows on the walls of your awareness. And in those shadows, you glimpse the gods at play, joyful architects of a drama so enchanting, it passes beyond the borders of life and death. The paradox of this dance is that the more you surrender to its flow, the freer you become. You soar without wings, carried by currents of spontaneity that defy calculation. Even grief joins the waltz, its sorrowful chords weaving deep notes of compassion into the music. You learn that pain and bliss are partners in the same duet, each giving contrast to the other, each revealing an aspect of the melody you could not hear in isolation. In this sacred choreography, you remember that the game of existence was never meant to weigh you down, but to set you alight. The scripts you once believed bound you now lie scattered like leaves at your feet. You gather them once more, not to follow them, but to weave them into a garland of possibility. Each line a petal, each word a set of freedom. With this garland, you crowned yourself the dancer of eternity, the bard of unending wonder. If this dance stirred your spirit, like the video and subscribe to join the dance of discovery. And now, as the final spotlight pulses with the echo of laughter, you bow once more to the stage, to the audience, to the playful gods, and step forward into the unknown, where the only script is the heartbeat of creation, and the only rule is to dance with every breath.